Evolution.org Hardcore 2.0 is coming your way. This is episode 168. Today we're going to talk about the top Evolutionary.org logs and reviews by Euro Pharma. So today we're going to talk about five really well reviewed logs. They've gotten a lot of views. They have a lot of posts on them. And the guys, all these guys have had tremendous results and thousands of between the five of them, tens and tens of thousands, over 100,000 views, I would say, already. And they've only been logging these for a few months now. So we're going to go
Yep.
over each one. But first, let me remind everybody we're on Spotify, we're on Apple. Those are the places right now where people are listening to podcasts. We are also on our website, evolution.org. So no matter where you're listening to us, welcome. We are an inclusive community. We pride ourselves on that to be an open community. You come on the forum, we treat you with respect, and we bring the positivity to you. So it's not the place to come if you want to be a bully, if you want to be an asshole like these other forums. So that's what separates evolution.org from other forums. And a lot of people gravitate to the positivity. And you'll notice the environment, it's a very positive environment. And if you're not going to be a positive influence on the community, you're going to be gone. So this is what we pride ourselves on when we do these podcasts. It's about sharing knowledge with each other. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that we're going to be talking about on this podcast over the next few months that nobody else is going to be talking about. So it's very important that you're liking, you're subbing, you're giving us good reviews, and you're commenting on our podcast. That helps the algorithms pick us up and it helps spread our bodybuilding podcast, which is one of a kind. We don't base our podcast on clickbait, gossip, bullshit, negativity like these other podcasts. We actually are
No.
talking about this stuff and going under the hood of the car to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
No other podcast is doing that. So definitely, if you want to keep this podcast going, you've got to be part of the team as well. You got to be part of our family, and you've
Yep.
got to make sure that you're rating us, you're ranking us, you're reviewing us, you're telling your friends, you're telling your family, and you're coming on the forum and enjoying a positive atmosphere.
I mean, look, Steve, the very podcast subject that we're covering today is an indication of how we are. You will not get clickbait, uh, benefiting from the algorithm type shows that discuss average Joes who want to build muscular physiques, their training logs, and so on and so forth. So we are literally discussing members of the forum. We are literally using these Joes as examples to give you an idea that your journey, your time in the gym, your aims for your physique, whatever that might be, is as good as those top professionals. And the support that we get in that particular way, especially via the log, Steve, is enormous. It's almost it's almost like having a training diary, and people can come in and see what you've done and give you a pat on the back and say, hang on, swap this exercise for that exercise, your delts will pop out and whatever. And that kind of stuff. When Steve used the word family, I think that's kind of appropriate here. Certainly a bunch of extended cousins, that's for sure, Steve, where we'll give each other shit in the nicest way. But, if you've got something going on in your life and drama, people will support you, they'll DM you, and so on and so forth. And that community is almost arguably, Steve, the way that social media was meant to work versus kind of the clickbait stuff that Steve's referred to
Yeah,
earlier on that. It's annoying.
yeah.
But listen, make sure to show support for the shows because that means that we can help you with this great information, Steve.
Yeah, and this segues into the first topic before we get into the five blogs we're going to talk about, which is why is logging becoming so popular on Evo. And we're the only forum out there that does this. And look, we've talked about logs in the past a little bit, but look, to be successful in life, it's trial and error. I used to have a saltwater aquarium. I got an anemone with a clownfish, and the clownfish lived in an anemone, and the anemone did not hurt the clownfish. They were a team. The clownfish would go up to the top, grab food, and take it and feed his buddy, the anemone, and in turn, the anemone would protect the clownfish from the other fish. So one day I got a new fish. He was like a little spot. I put him on in the aquarium, right? So he starts swimming around. He goes up to the clownfish, I don't know why. Maybe he wanted to say hi. Maybe he was looking for trouble. I don't know. But the anemone gave him a quick whack, and the spot started like shaking like he was drunk. And I was like, oh my God, this anemone just killed my spot. But he didn't. He just basically gave him a little whack and gave him a little warning. The spot after that never did that again. So logging is the same way. Logging is about trial and error, learning from things, and it's correcting obvious mistakes. So the wealth of knowledge that you're going to get from doing a log on evolutionary.org is going to help you excel. And we've seen giving you 5 examples today on different logs, but we've seen all the logs. Everybody has become more successful. We have all kinds of people doing logs, all ages, all male, female, any type of situation, people who have years of experience, 20 years of experience, 30 years of experience, people who are brand new to this, people who've never ran steroids before, and people who've ran 10 steroid cycles before. We've got people competing at the highest levels. We got a cornucopia of completely different people who are doing it, and everybody has improved who has put up a log. And it's very, very important. Just like a farmer, they have
Yeah,
something called the Farmer's Almanac that comes out, and it helps farmers improve because they gather data, and you're able to do that. Just like when you're fishing, you learn the tides, the moon phases, you have the wind, the swell, the wave height, everything
yep,
plays a
yep,
factor into your success being a fisherman. And this is the same way. Bodybuilding is the same way. Improving yourself is the same way. You don't have to be someone who's like, well, I'm going to compete to come and do a log. It can be a simple situation where I want to lose 10 pounds the right way. I want to get more muscle. I want to get stronger. There's all kinds of reasons for having a log on
yep,
evolutionary.org.
yep,
And it's very important that you come on the forum and you do the log, because the log is what's going to push you. I have a log. Mobster has a log.
oh
Most
yeah,
of
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah,
staff on the forum, the moderators, most all of them
yes,
have logs or have done logs, and it's
yeah,
made a huge difference in their lives. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, look, as Steve said, I was thinking as Steve was talking, we've got people that have transformed their physique, and I'm talking in terms of body fat loss, Steve, 320 pounds down to 250 pounds, 70 pounds of fat gone. We've got 2 or 3 members that are aspiring right now to their pro cards, one in Canada, one in America, one somewhere else. We have multiple countries, Steve. Australia, America, Canada, United States. I think we've had French. We've certainly got members in Asia, in India. We've got people that have gone around the world on holidays and been able to train well and eat well and even access PEDs in Thailand and Bangkok and multiple countries. So we are truly international. We are truly diverse. As Steve said, I think we've got gay, straight, you name it. There's no sexuality, whatever, no politics. We don't do none of that bullshit. And I think the number one thing is, Steve, is if you came on there as the member listening to this show right now and decided to create a log, we are going to help you minimize any mistakes that we almost certainly made ourselves. So the things that we had to learn, just as you used to get advice from the old guys in the gym, you can come onto a forum and get advice from a hugely massive, diverse range of people from all walks of life, rich, poor, you name it, and you are going to avoid. Listen, if it was a car forum, Steve, and you had a 68 Corvette or something like that, and you needed a bumper for a 68 Corvette, and it was a big, big forum like Evolutionary, I guarantee you there'd be someone out there that would have a 68 Corvette bumper in their garage that you could buy or you could have. One great example, and this is not something that's common, so I don't want to sell it although the idea though it is, but we've had people get gift packages from other members. So you're about to compete, you need this product. There's none available right now. I've got a spare bottle. I will send you this product. Literally just care packages like that, especially if these people are competing or going for something big. So that doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And it's just an indication of the kind of support for me. It's a great indicator of the kind of support. I've had this in the past, Steve, from other places years ago, and it would blow me the fuck away that someone thought enough of what I was doing and my dedication that they would send this thing to me and say, listen, here's a free t-shirt, buddy. go kick ass on the day of the competition. Back in the day, Steve got sponsored to my first American competition. The first international competition was America, and a buddy of mine sponsored me to the tune of $1,000, 600-700 quid back in the day, just to allow me to go there and not be out of pocket on expenses. That in on of itself, and all I had to do was wear a t-shirt. It was just fucking amazing. When it comes to the logs, we have seen, and I'll finish on this particular point, Steve. One of the things I think, regardless of your journey, where you are, what your target is, or whatever else, what I see with the logs, and the reason why we recommend the logs, number one, you will almost certainly be more successful with a log than without. And the reason for that is quite simple. Lots of people these days won't talk to buddies at the gym. They're not always working with PTs. They're not always working with coaches, although that's becoming more common. When they come online, especially on Evolutionary, Steve, and they have a log, there's almost I have to stick to this because there's 100 people watching me, thousands of people watching me, in fact, sometimes. Tens of thousands, as Steve said, across these logs, absolutely. And I can't slack because 500 bros have got my back and they're watching me. They're making me want to succeed. And then they will literally help you. They will give you advice. Oh, you could add this seasoning to your prep meal. The ones that do everything, the ones that put up their supplements, their stacks, their training, the weights, when they were feeling good, when they were feeling bad, how they feel on the PEDs, how they feel off the PEDs, but especially, Steve, the ones that have their diets and they post their meals. And you know what? Sometimes it's a little bit like, oh God, do I want to see salmon and rice again? No, or chicken and rice again, or whatever. But the ones that do, and I cannot deny this, Steve, the ones that do have the greatest success because they don't feel like they can cheat. They can't slack off. We've even had, to a lesser degree, and this is not common again, but it still happens, people that have had drug issues or mental issues that are on medication for mental issues, psychosis or whatever else, former alcoholics, etc., etc. And just being open with a bunch of relative strangers on a forum, thousands of miles away, means that you can turn around and say, listen, day 181, not drinking. Good lad. I slacked this weekend. I had 2 bottles, but I feel bad, so I've gone to the gym to punish myself. Get in the gym, sweat that shit out, motherfucker. We got your back. And that, it's almost weird sometimes, Steve, how it's that much easier to do this on a forum with a training log than perhaps with a neighbor or a buddy or someone, even sometimes people that you live with, and
Yeah.
a bunch of strangers on the internet have got your back more. That's just fucking amazing in and of itself.
So let's get into the first log. It's and the user is called Marsh Monsta, Monsta. And his log is called Marsh Monsta's Summer Mass Blast Cycle log. And we'll include the link in the notes. And this guy, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about him, and then I'll let Mobster jump in. So he is a really hard worker. He started his current log on November 2024. He's 40 years of age with 2 years of PED use under his belt. So his cycle that he opened up with was Sustanon at 400. Looks like he's taking Sustanon 400 and he's using it at 800 milligrams a week. So it's a pretty big opening with Sustanon on that one. He's also using Trinase at 200 milligrams a week, growth hormone at 4 IUs nightly. He's using 500 IUs of HCG every other day, and he's using 40 milligrams of Dianabol pre-workout. And he's using Aromacin at 12.5 milligrams daily and Cialis at 10 milligrams daily. So he also takes a bunch of supplements, which he posts on the forum as well. And another cool thing about him is he also has a log for his dog, and that one's called Zeus South African Mastiff Injury Recovery, and he's using
Yes.
BPC and TB 500 on that. So
Yes, yes.
he's got 2 logs going, one for him, one for his dog. He's six
Yeah.
foot four, 110 kilograms, which is pretty. He's a pretty big dude. I mean,
242 pounds, Steve.
yeah. So he's a big dude. So
He's a big boy, yeah.
yep. And he looks fantastic, and he's always traveling. He's got pictures of his vacations, and he's got some cool pictures on there of the places that he goes. So he's a really cool dude, really positive guy. I really like him. Mobster, Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, the app is tall, which is one of those things, and it's hard to fill out your frame when you're tall. And yet, I'm looking at the photographs in the very first entry, Steve. He's a big boy, absolutely a big boy. He's an inch taller than I am. 242 pounds is it's kind of weird in bodybuilding because you go, oh, we 260 for some 5'8" pro. Listen, 242 pounds is a big motherfucker and a big muscular motherfucker. He's slim waisted. He's got a good solid physique. I believe he's Australian. I'm going to say that only because of I think one of the labs that sponsored him. This is something else that comes with the logs, guys. Quite often, if you are out there kicking ass and taking names and on point with your diet, don't be too surprised if one of the approved sponsors wants to help you out in some way. That can be fantastic in and of itself. Look, we did a specific show just about the concept, the idea of TB 500 and BPC 157 being okay for pets, and because there's a big section on the forums just for pets. It gets a lot of hits. Steve. People love the idea of posting up pictures of their cats, their dogs, their birds, their whatever. As Steve said, fish earlier on. He talks about his training. I mean, look, just as an example, Steve, the kind of stuff that I've talked about and discussed on the forum. I noted when you were listing these PEDs, the 40 milligrams D-Well pre-workout. I've said this before. I'm convinced that for the most part, and maybe I'll change my mind at some point in the future, I think that taking a PED pre-workout is arguably placebo effect. But how many people on the forum do it, Steve? Low dose, low dose, none of our pre-workout, a couple of other products are combinations of short-acting oils and short-acting injectables that are taken pre-workout. And these guys are convinced it works. And if they're convinced it works, then it works. So it's one of those, look at, again, just at his sussed 800 milligrams a week, the Trenase. Would I do his stack? No. I've never used HCG. But I would argue, Steve, all things considered, for his height, his weight, etc., he's not a million miles away from what we see across the forum, people similar physiques, etc., etc. However, this is the thing that's really interesting for me. Just looking at this, and this is literally page one of multiple figures pages, lots and lots of hits, etc. He's doing what works for him. I can't argue in any way, medium, or form that what he's doing is not working, because we have seen that occasionally. We have seen people doing a stack and you go, is that the right stack for you? Are those the best products for what your aim is, and so on and so forth? Looking at his physique, Steve, looking at his results, looking at the other posts that we've referred to when we've been online, I looked at his trainer log before, we cannot say that what he's doing is not working. I would argue, Steve, that for the most part, if listeners come on and check out literally page one, post one, a lot of you would love to have his physique. What do you think about that, Steve?
Absolutely, and he's living the life. He's living the life for sure. He's living some of the best lives for someone his age. Really being freedom, the freedom to travel, the freedom to have the physique you want, the freedom to use these PEDs to your advantage. One of the recent things that changed on his log, and this is one of the great things about logging, is as you go along, you'll change things. So in
Yes,
November, he
yes.
started out that way, but now, and we're doing this podcast in May of 2025. So
Yep,
it's
yep,
been like 5, 6 months.
yep,
He changed some things. He switched the Sustanon out for testosterone E, and he also dropped his dosages lower. And he's also added Deca instead of the Tren. So he
yep.
changed some things that he was doing to mold it to what his goals are. He also changed his training. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, Mobster. He went from a prior training to now he's training a push pull leg style. And it says that it allows me, he says, quote unquote, it allows me to train 3 on, 1 off in all body parts 2 times a week and have less fatigue for a little while. So talk a little bit about that, Mobster, for a couple minutes before we move on to the next one, the training change.
Just in terms of that actual style of training, here's an interesting point, Steve. And you and I have made this one referred to logs before. I see guys, and I just literally replied to a thread this morning where the member in question was training 6 days a week and having one day off. And I'm reminded, I was watching a video on my phone, prior to Steve and I recording this show, when I was doing some work on a computer, Dorian Yates, and Dorian Yates didn't do 6 days a week. So I sometimes say to the guys, why do you do 6 days a week? If the top professional bodybuilders on the planet aren't doing as many sets or reps or days a week as you are, even with PEDs, you kind of need to give yourself a break. So what I do like about that, Steve, and I've just noticed one other thing on his initial post as well, is that the style of training he's doing actually gives him a minimum of 2 days a week rest, which I much prefer for the majority of individuals. It depends on the intensity of the training, but also that push pull on off 3 days a week kind of thing, Steve, allows for arguably 2 days minimum without the actual weekend rest, 2 days minimum. So, for example, let's imagine that push was shoulders, bench, whatever else. He's not going to be hitting that again for probably 3 days. At the very least, if he splits it up, he's not going to be hitting that body part in the same way for 3 days. Because he could even do a press workout on a Monday, a pull workout on a Tuesday, another press, but hitting different muscles on the Wednesday, and then have a day off. And in that way, you're getting 48 hours break. Now, ideally, I would probably argue 2 on, 2 on, 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off, repeat, etc., etc. And one of the things that I said when it comes to training, just to finish on that particular thought, is that, guys, we sometimes get stuck on a 7 days a week protocols when it comes to training. Your body doesn't give a fuck what day of the week it is, your brain does. The reason we do that is because of work, because of school, and so on and so forth, and having the weekends free. But arguably, if you are a top professional bodybuilder, you were looking to compete in Mr. Olympia, every day should be aimed either at rest, recovery, or pushing your physique. And it shouldn't matter what the name of the day is, and it shouldn't matter if it's the weekend, Thursday afternoon, or whatever else. So it's just about recovery. The only other thing, Steve, I did notice, just to finish on Marsh Monster, is that he was cruising. He's arguably probably about the right age now for TRT. I'm not a huge fan of cruising, and I suspect that the majority of cases, and he's only been on PEDs for a couple of years as well, Steve, I would probably have had him try to come off, bearing in mind he's only 2 years in, as much as possible between cycles, and only sort of go towards TRT when you absolutely have to, and not necessarily, and I think this is very common, and I do talk about this on the forums, staying on what arguably is a cruise as a crutch, psychological, probably more than physical, for retaining muscle tissue, because I'm convinced that training and diet should be a much, much bigger part. And that it's almost like you want to stay on rather than you need to stay on. So there's a little bit of there, and I've probably commented to that effect almost certainly at some point in there. But again, Steve mentioned this already. We have seen changes in his protocols. We have seen changes in his training. And I suspect that's the journey of life, different targets. You've achieved one target, you move on to another target, but almost certainly probably because other people have gone, listen, 800 milligrams of this might not be the best thing. You're in your 40s, high dosing trend's not great. And these have enabled him to optimize his training and go into a slightly different direction and still look good and still be strong. So arguably, Steve, more muscle, or at least the same amount of muscle, but with less PEDs. That's
Yeah.
got to be a good thing. So yeah,
So let's move on
let's move
to
on to the next one.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's go on to his name is Beme. His log is called First Testosterone Cycle Log. And he started this in April of 2025. So it's a pretty new log versus when we're doing it, but it's already over 26 pages, and he's got tons of views already, thousands of views. So he's really been popular. So he's 40 years old as well, but he's only he's not, I'm gonna say only, but he's much less shorter than Marsh Monster. He's at 5'11", which is way taller than me, but shorter than Marsh Monster. And he's
Yeah,
100,
average height, Steve.
yeah,
Average height.
and 176 pounds, modest
Yep.
body fat, 12 to 13% body fat. That's what he has
Yep.
listed. But looking at his pictures, and
Yes.
this is one of those things where these scales that people use are not accurate. And this
Yes.
is another great reason to do a
Yes.
log, because looking at his pictures, there's no way he's 12, 13% body fat. I would say he was much leaner. I'd say he's closer to 8% body
Do you
fat.
know what, Steve? Do you know what my first thought on this, just on what you're talking about, is he has a physique, shirt off, that most people would fucking kill for. He's literally shirt on. He probably
Yeah.
looks like slightly
But
muscular
he's
average Joe,
but
but
he's
shirt off, he's
humble.
got
He's
the
humble.
beach ready. Yes,
That's a
yes.
good thing about our forum. We don't have a bunch of cocky show
Yeah.
off. This
No,
isn't
put him on. No.
Facebook or Instagram where everyone's trying to be cocky and show off and impress people. Okay? We're a modest forum. We're the only people we're trying to impress is ourselves. And this is a perfect
Yes.
example. He literally lied and say he had more body fat than he actually does. That's the kind of forum we have. He's like 7, 8% body fat, and he says he's 12, 13% because he's so fucking modest. So his goals of starting this log has
Yeah.
been to keep his body fat low or lower
Yep.
and
Yep.
gain quality muscle mass. He says 10 to 15 pounds. So I'm going to give you his supplement list. So he's running so far 180 milligrams a week of testosterone sip. But as the log went on, he started to add other things, so we'll talk about in a second. So he was really contemplating running Prima, which I think is a great idea for someone with this physique. So I'll let you talk about that, Mobster, and his training. But let me go over his supplement list, which is a long list. Well, I'm just going to tell you what he takes just in the morning to give you an idea of what some of the guys on the forum are using. His supplement list is a multivitamin, metabolic synergy, it's called, glucosamine, omega 3, vitamin D, beta alanine, taurine, collagen peptides, and creatine. So he has a very impressive long list of supplements. And you notice that he's not running a lot of gear, but he has a tremendous physique. So this is an example of someone who's dependent more on his training, his supplements, his sleep quality, staying positive, staying in shape than he is just going and dumping grams of gear into his body. So I got a lot of respect for that. Mobster?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things he says, I'll read this out to the listeners, not in a rush, safety and longevity are higher priorities. Looking to feel good while training hard, thinking Primo 100 is the way to go. That's the first goal that he lists on page one, Steve. I like that. I like that. We can sometimes, our younger listeners, and again, this is a 40 plus, 40-year-old trainee, some of our younger listeners can be sometimes a little bit gung ho. And I like the fact that a 40-year-old who looks damn good, it has to be said, is as concerned with lasting as long as possible, being able to train for as long as possible, and feeling good without going crazy. So it again, even when he talks about the 10 to 15 pounds, it's over time. I'm going to offer this up perhaps arguably as a criticism. He has, I'm not even going to read all these out, Steve. A morning supplement stack, an after work supplement stack, an after workout supplement stack, which is quite short in that particular example, and an after dinner supplement stack. Okay, so criticism, constructive criticism. I don't think you need to have, and Steve and I have done shows on this, multiples of supplements through the day. If we think of supplements supplementing your diet, and you will have a great diet, that's how that physique was achieved as much as anything else. I don't necessarily think there's any great advantage beyond perhaps not having to take a shitload of supplements all at once throughout the day. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, if anything, to his physique. However, again, and I'll reference the training as well here, Steve. I can criticize constructively or otherwise all fucking day long. And then I go and look at his pictures. So I go, right, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? Why is he spreading this up? Fuck, shut the fuck up, mobster. Look at the fucking most muscular. Look at him flexing his right arm with his abs and shit popping. Look when he's doing the most muscular at the beginning of striation starting to come through his skin. Motherfucker is working hard, eating right, training right. He's got the right mindset for long-term health and progressing slowly but surely. And he's got a great fucking physique. I literally, as I said at the beginning when we were talking about him, his physique to me is the kind of physique that a man on the street would kill for. It. This is a body who's not overly muscular that walked down the beach with a bit of a suntan from your holiday, Steve, would look amazing by the pool. I'm telling you now, Steve, I've got no idea what his face looks like, but physique-wise, this is the one. If he was a younger man, he'd have women hanging off his arm. He doesn't have to. It's not super jacked. He's not massive like a strong man, but he's muscular in the right places. He's got shape in the right places. So I can say, oh, I mean, I look at his training here, Steve. I would actually have him cut back a little tiny bit in terms of his training. There seems to be, on average, and I'm just looking at the screen right now, 6 to 8 exercises every single time. There's no sets and reps on this particular screenshot that I'm looking at, come from an app that he's using. Um, some of the exercises seem to be a little bit repeated. So, for example, if I was coaching him, I'm just let me get day two, Steve. Seated cable row, single arm pull down. I'm not a big fan of that. Chest supported cable row. So, yeah, that's another cable row. Incline cable preacher curl, grip roller, which I love, and tip bar. So this is a back focused with a little bit of bicep forearms and a little tiny, it says quads, it's actually the shins. Um, Two of those exercises are very, very similar. And I'd rather get him in there and smash the granny out of one cable exercise and then not do something that's almost identical. So there's a little bit of that going on. But again, great physique, what's working for him and so on. Let's move on to the next guy, Steve. So you introduce him, please.
Yeah, so next guy is called Trendhead 3cc. And his log is called 2025 and Beyond Cycle Log. And this guy, he's 87 kilograms. He's 6'2". He started his log at the start of 2025. So it's a nice New Year's resolution log. He started this off with Sports TRT protocol, which was 150 milligrams of testosterone a week, along with 100 milligrams of Primo. Also using MK677, which is Nutribol at 25 milligrams a day. So one of the nice things that I love about his log is the food that he posts. And a lot of guys on the forum, including me, we're our self educated chefs. It's not like we went to chef school or anything, but we've come up with a lot of different dishes. And one of the things that he puts together that I really liked, he puts together a nice steak, veggies, and clean carb meal, which is absolutely perfect for a bodybuilding lifestyle. You're getting excellent nutrition from that. You're getting your protein, you're getting your clean carbs. So that's a
Yeah.
great, great meal. So I really like that about him. He recently, I'll let you talk a little bit about his steroid use and his training, Mobster, but he recently increased his PED usage and jacked up the doses. Now he's at Sustanon 600 milligrams, Deca 300 milligrams, Equipoise 450 milligrams, Proviron 25 milligrams a day. The MK677, he's still at 25 milligrams a day, but he's about
Yes.
to cut that off. He's on Anadrol 50 milligrams a day and Turinabol 20 milligrams. So it's a hell of a cycle. One of the more aggressive cycles that we've talked about so far on these logs, but he's really trying to push himself to really, really get good results. So he's another guy. And again, you can buy all these steroids from Euro Pharma. And look, at the end of the day, these are some quality steroid cycles. They're very aggressive. They're not newbie cycles. So some of the guys who are doing these logs, in this case with Trendhead, these are guys who have experience, who are want to go aggressive, and they have very, very lofty goals that they're trying to get. And these PEDs are helping them get there. So he's really been busting his ass. I got to give him a lot of credit because his log is already all to 30 pages and
Wow.
he's just started it at the beginning of the year. So we're doing this podcast in May. So after
Yep.
just a few months, he's already got it up to 20. So this shows someone who's really dedicated, who's updating his log constantly, and he's really kicking ass. I'm looking through his workouts, Mobster. Very, very
I'm looking at
impressive.
them. Yeah.
He's
Six
got
o'clock in the morning, Steve.
really good volume and
Yep.
really good cardio. So talk about his workouts a little bit.
Yeah, I'll talk about his workouts 100%, Steve. The one that I'm looking at is a leg focus day, 6 o'clock in the morning and finishing at 10 to 7 in the morning. I've done this there or thereabouts, 20 past 7, I think, my earliest. We've got one of the members on there that's training at 3:30 in the morning because of work and the lifestyle, etc. Listen, training your legs when most people are having their fucking breakfast is hardcore. I've written down about sports crews. Not a huge fan of that. Again, convinced, as I say earlier on, that you can maintain muscle without needing to be on a higher dose of TRT. Call it what you will. I like this workout, Steve. It's my kind of workout. It literally 3 exercises, and he did this in 50 minutes. Squatting. What are we looking at here, Steve? 5 sets, working up to 160 kilos. Trust me, people around the world going to pretty much every gym there is, from the hardcore on down. 160 kilos is 360, 370 pounds. That's good weight. It's not massive weight, but it's good weight. And it's fucking not even 7 o'clock in the morning. That's hardcore. Prone leg curl. And he says, trying to lay off the chest pad, as seen in the Charles Glass video, meaning he's trying to isolate his bicep femoris, his thigh biceps, his hamstrings, more than most people. He's not been sloppy. He's literally gone out, looked at a video, one of the best trainers on the planet, Steve, top professional bodybuilders, and other kind of clientele. And what can I pick from this? Not crazy weights, but I think if he's doing it the way I think he's doing it, this is slow, this is steady, this is squeezy. I like it. And again, it's just that's 5 sets and leg extension. I think after the stuff that he's already done with the 50-minute time limit, Steve, I trained legs yesterday, and it was the best part of 50 minutes just for fucking squats. And I only done 4 sets. This motherfucker's done squats, leg curls, and leg extensions in the same time that I did squats in. That means he is huffing and puffing, and he will be straining. And again, I could argue all day long about this, that, and the other, Steve. And then I scroll back up and I look at his physique and I go, again, this is like, if he didn't have a tattoo, Steve, he'd make for a great tailor's dummy. He's got that kind of slim waist that would wear a shirt or a jacket very, very well. And I think he's actually probably doing himself a little bit of injustice with these pictures. I actually think he probably looks a little bit sharper and a little bit more defined. And just the angle that the pictures are taken in, that if someone else had done it with the right light, he'd look epic. Tattoos or no tattoos. One thing I do like, and because we talked about this with Marsh Monster, it's another Australian. The diet tends to be, for whatever reason, Steve, I think the whole, go and put another shrimp on the barbie diet tends to be healthier. You're eating food that's been cooked in front of you, like Steve said, homeschooled cooking, fresh fruit and vegetables, very little supermarket food when we look at the guy's logs. And I think that beach lifestyle, there's no indication here of his age. I'd love to know what his age is, because we know the other two guys are 40 plus. But I think I'm going to say mid to late 30s here, and looking pretty damn good on it. And again, representative of the kind of physique that most people would give their IC for. Man in the street. I mean, just on the photographs in introduction alone, Steve, he got 12 likes, which is higher than normal, including some love type stuff. And again, supported by one of the Australian approved sources. That's another great indication of someone that's working their asses off, putting in the time, putting in the work, and inspiring. This is the thing that people don't understand with logs before we move on. You are inspiring other people to do what you're doing with your physique, because a lot of people that don't post, that are watching, hundreds sometimes per thread, per post, will see your physique and go, that's what I want from my physique. Not every motherfucker wants to do what you do, Steve. Not every motherfucker wants to kind of do the weights that I do, but a lot of them would love this guy's physique. So I think the only thing I also thought was that trend 3cc name, etc. I thought this is a Boston Lloyd thing. So there's the sort of a little bit of historical, where's the name come from? So I like that. Introduce the next log, Steve. Let's have a look at that one as well.
Yeah, so next one is Blue Bone is his name, and his log is called Testosterone, Primabone, MPP, Masteron, Anavar, HGH Growth Cycle Log. And he
There's
started.
A bit of a mouthful.
Yep.
listeners, and a simple approach is a lot better. That's a bit of a mouthful, and it tells you what's going on.
So this guy's in his 30s, and he is living a young father's lifestyle. And you can talk about this in a second, Mobster, where he has a toddler and he has children, which can be very, very hard to navigate. I have friends I used to train with all the time. They become fathers and then they disappear from the gym for a year. So this is really hard, but he's managing to do it. But he says his first priorities are family first, then work, then training. He started this log in November 2024. So his cycle consists of the testosterone, primo, MPP, masteron, just like in the title, also using the HGH and the Anavar as well. And so he's running some big time steroid cycle here with a lot of different things. He's also challenged. You can talk about this as well, Monster. He's challenged by an injury history where he has tendonitis, torn shoulders, and disc issues. So this is real life. Many of us have to navigate around these injuries. I do. Mobster does. He also has a long list of supplements that he's using that you can check out in his log. And he started out the log at 94 kilograms. And looking at his recent pictures, he has improved tremendously. I would say he's cut down, Mobster.
Stevie's got a fucking six-pack in introductory pictures.
I'd say he's probably like down to 6-7% body fat. I mean, he's absolutely ripped. but he's muscular. Like his shoulders are huge, his biceps are huge. He's got amazing vascularity. So again, as you said on the last example, he's got the body most people would kill for. And if you
Yes.
go in his log and you take a look at the way he trains like an absolute animal, even around all these injuries. So
Oh
he's
man,
really got his handful. So you can tell this guy, I can tell this guy's like me. He's a type A personality. Nothing is going to stand in his way. When he sets out to do
I
something,
love that.
he's going
Yeah,
to do it. It doesn't matter about his injuries, doesn't matter. It can be something you can love, but it also can get you in trouble. So this is one of these situations where you
yeah.
just have to balance life out. You got to work around these injuries, and he's doing it. He's showing how it's done, and I haven't seen
Let
him.
me-
Yeah, go ahead, Monster. Yeah.
I was going to say, let me talk about those first two things, Steve. I mean, number one, life. Life gets in the way. It has to fucking get in the way. Shit happens. Steve had a thing this week that might have prevented us from doing a show. Literally, my girlfriend's mother passed away yesterday. Shit fucking happens, and when you're young and gung ho and you're kicking ass in the gym, you've got your broccoli hair thing going on, you're doing YouTube videos of all bicep curls or whatever, right? You can't imagine mortgages and car loans and having kids and having to take your kids to after school stuff and classes and whatever. It's not even on your fucking radar. This is life. This is real. He's in his 30s with kids in the toddler and baby stage. There was a member posting yesterday, Steve, about they've got a special needs child. And that when that child's wake up, dad has to wake up. And I think he's a solo parent, the way that he was reading, like a solo parent. So he doesn't always get the sleep that he wants to get. He's in his late 40s, I think early 50s. Is just struggling just to get quality sleep. So we were talking about what can you do to improve your quality sleep, get better sleep when you are sleeping. So this guy is having to do real life. That means work. We got Australians on the forum again, Steve. I think there's some Canadians that do the same thing. Whether they're in the logging industry or they're working in mining, and they will fly in a small plane to this middle of nowhere quarry or mine or whatever, and stay there for fucking 7 days, like working on an oil rig. Work their fucking asses off for thousands of dollars, and then come back and then spend the next week back with family, friends, but also training. And it's literally like some sort of fucking primeval, primitive lifestyle in terms of when you get there, you're working 12, 14 hours a day, you eat what's provided, you're lucky if you've got prep meals and so on. When life is doing that to you as well, when you're having to do the stuff, it's kids running around under your feet, taking their first steps, all that kind of stuff. And then let me look at the injuries. I mean, come on. Let me just read this. Torn rotators in each shoulder, one from boxing, one from JJ, jiu-jitsu. Currently dealing with some bad tricep tendonitis, both arms. So I had to back off on bench press and overhead press. I've been there, I have to use a forearm strap on that one of the things for myself. And again, I've had stuff, tweaks, etc., that I've had to sort of change exercises on. So this is great information for other people overcoming injuries. Disc injuries in back. I think Stephen and I have both had issues in this particular way. This is kind of fucked up. So you've got crushed when I was younger by a 600 kilo, that's 1,320 pounds, livestock. Probably going to be, it says it wasn't a donkey show. I suspect that's a slightly tongue in cheek joke. I'm assuming cattle or a horse. And it's crushed him and fucked the disc up in his back. He can do everything, but again, certain exercises, especially when he's tired, will fucking hurt. His back starts to ache in those situations and so on and so forth. So yeah, just being able to work around these injuries, learn how to recover, learn how to rehab. There's a lot of that on our forums. It's very common as you push yourself, or is this situation of actually being injured, and being able to still have a fucking six pack. And that's the page one, Steve, just the physique. Training 4 times a week, training split into 2 upper body and 2 lower bodies. Perfect. I believe another member does a very similar thing where they're also doing other sports, which I've told them they must be got to prioritize sometimes, shift focus for the year. Just as an example, and I use myself as an example here, Steve, I don't go balls out year round. My easing off weights might be relatively high, but my balls out weights are fucking stupidly heavy. And if you are interested in doing other sports, and I'm thinking of another member here doing jiu-jitsu, for example, just because it's mentioned here as well, you will need to back the fuck off on your weight training so you can push your jiu-jitsu, and will back the fuck off on your jiu-jitsu so you can push the weights. And also, again, because of these pre-existing injuries, your body is not a fucking machine. It is literally human. It's the only one you've got. So again, I love the fact that people can see this log, see how he's getting on, and it's the real life shit. Not only has he got those injuries, not only is he working, he's also dealing with two young kids, which would be a new experience for the younger members, but showing you that you can get it done regardless, that you can do this, you can overcome those injuries. Arguably, Steve, in his way, he's kind of inspiring. I like it for that reason, if not for any other reason. No excuses, no bullshit. Got life, got kids, got all this stuff going on, and still built an absolutely amazing physique. Let's move on to number 5 here, Steve. So start us off on that one, please.
Yeah, this guy, his name is Modderbug, and his log is called My 6-Month TRT and Anavar Recomp Log. And this guy started his log in October 2024. He's 33 years old. He's 6'1". His body fat is higher than anyone else we've talked about. He estimated it's about 20%, which is about right. He has a normal Joe physique, and there's nothing wrong with that because he wants to improve it. And that's what this logging is all about, obviously. We want to take well, no matter what you look like, it don't matter what you look. You could be 35% body fat, or you could be 6% body fat, 250 pounds. It don't matter. Everybody can improve, and that's what we try to do on these logs. So he wants to improve. He's got a normal Joe physique like many people out there. And he gets this log going where he posts his blood work right off the bat, which is great. We want to always see your blood work. Block out your name. It's really good. We can give you some advice on what we see in the blood work that needs to be looked at. He talks about his training. He talks about his diet, which is very solid, and his plans for the log. So his steroid cycle is 200 to 300 milligrams a week of testosterone, along with some Anavar. So he also says he's been on TRT for around 2 years, and he did a prior Anavar cycle as well. So one of the things I noticed on his log Mobster, and you could talk about this, is his consistency, but also the improvements he's done in just a few short months. You can tell looking at his pictures that he started back in October up till now when we're doing this podcast in May. You could tell the subtle changes. He looks leaner. I would say he's dropped about 3% body fat. So he's probably down to like maybe 16, 17% body fat. And if he just drops another 2 or 3% body fat, we'll start to see some abs start showing up, which is great. Also, we can tell he's more muscular. When he does a front shot with his biceps, you can tell his biceps have grown. So he's not running a lot of gear, but he's definitely improving. And he's at 216 pounds now. So I can definitely tell that he's recomped so far. And it's not some crazy transformation, but it's been solid results. And if he keeps up this consistency, a year from now, he'll look back and be blown away at his results. So Mobster, talk a little bit about his log.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just thinking about the 20% body fat, and I think he's about on point in the torso, especially Steve, kind of muscular arms, vascular forearms, muscular biceps, although not super separated. Yeah, 20%, 18 to 20% for sure. And it occurs to me, and we talk about this on the forums all the time, guys will come on and say, I've got low testosterone levels. And if your body fat's high, just getting lean will almost certainly improve your health and therefore increase your testosterone levels naturally without you using products. I like the fact, again, as I did while Steve was talking, I had a quick look at the more recent post. 100% agree with Steve. The beginning of abs that are starting to pop, which getting him arguably 12 to 15%, perhaps up a little bit lower, definitely transform his physique. He's not a young man that's just started, young teenager, whatever else. But the thought that occurred to me, and this is another great reason for running a log, and you could do this with photographs of yourself if you don't run a log, but if you do run a log, this is one of those little tricks that I've suggested with people. And I think he's a great example of this. As you said, Steve, it's just been a few months. Take a fucking picture, front relaxed, back relaxed. If you want to pose, by all means pose. Do it in a generic, plain, boring background. Try to wear the same shorts, briefs, whatever the fuck you were doing. And then don't take any pictures for a month. Ideally, 12 weeks, 3 months. And then take the photographs. Same light, same clothing, same location, same boring background. And if you've been working your ass off, and if you've been dieting like you're supposed to, being super tight with a knife and fork, you should see differences in your physique. Sometimes when it's too frequent, you will not. Here, page one, that 18 to 20% body fat. Go to the last page, which is most recent, just a few months later. I can see a difference. Guys that put up weekly, I can't always see it, Steve. And sometimes the guys can see it and I can't. And sometimes I think they're being kind. Here, absolutely, there is a difference in the physique. He's absolutely got more muscular. And one of the silly little examples, and I've done this before, is go and visit your nan. Go and visit one of your relatives that hasn't seen you for ages. Oh, John, you've got what have you been training? Have you got look at and you've got a tan on, you got the clothes are hanging better, your belly's not sticking out, there's no more love handles. People that haven't seen you for a while, Steve, will see it. You won't always see it yourself if you look in the mirror because you're used to what you see every single day. Your body almost kind of sort of phases it out. But this guy, absolutely. This is why this is fantastic. This is not a guy that's trying to get his pro card, add a quarter of an inch here, take a quarter of an inch away. There is the recomp, the transformation from slightly overweight Joe to muscular Joe is amazing. That makes him again kind of inspiring. This is not someone with fantastic genetics. This is someone with normal genetics who's transforming their physique. And he doesn't need to be. We get this sometimes, Steve. I don't want to be Mr. Olympia. I've seen your physique. It's never going to happen, man. But what you can always do is improve. And I cannot, hand on heart, I cannot deny, don't care how shitty, moody, whatever, this guy has transformed and it's been 3 fucking months, Steve. He will transform his physique again. If, like Steve said, if he comes back to this page one physique and puts that up against 12 months later physique in 8 or 9 months' time, we will almost, if he didn't have the tattoos that he's got, innie belly button, whatever, we wouldn't know it was the same person. You'd swear blind it was someone else. But we know because we've seen that journey. Here's the thing again, and I say this to people. I also want to talk a little bit about his training as well, Steve. Again, this is the thing that I like. First off, for example, just looking at his log here, Steve, he's gone and done what we talk about. He's got a blood test, and he's got all his numbers in there. He's been. Let me just look at his leg workout, and I'll talk about one more thing momentarily, which refers to logs full stop. Leg workout, front squats. Front squats are fucking hard, Steve, especially if it's done with a barbell. Just getting that bar to stay where the fuck it is where you do it. Then regular squats. Then calf raises. I haven't done a calf raise in years. Definitely something people should be doing. Seated leg extension, seated hamstring, and walking 3 miles. This is every fucking day. He's out there getting his steps in every day. He's only training, I think, again, Steve, 4 days a week. Fabulous. And look again at the results that he's got. This transformation of physiques is what I'm going to talk about now. And the reasons why we encourage the listener to come onto the forum and the reasons why we're going to encourage you to run a log. It used to almost be a bit of a piss take, Steve, with companies doing before and afters. Use our product and you'll make your physique do this. And the reality quite often was that the pictures have been flipped around. Sometimes they cheated with a tan and better lighting. And the guy's gone out and got a haircut and he's pushed his belly out in the before and he sucked his belly in on the after and so on. No, these are real life Joes and Janes of all kinds from all walks of life with injuries, with real shit going on. And these are genuine pictures. Some of them could do better with their photographs because they're under different conditions. And I said this, some of them post too many weekly updates. Look, you, the listener, may be new to this, the whole gym lifestyle, maybe new to wanting to transform your physique, get into shape for the first time in your life, or maybe you've been doing this a few years, but you've never had a log on a forum like this. Come on to Evolutionary and check these logs and tell me that you can't find someone whose physique either starting or finishing is either where you are or where you want to be. I guarantee you will find one that's similar to you, whether it's a fucking stupid, strong motherfucker like me, or whether it's someone like this person just wanting to get into shape from average Joe for the first time in their lives, from 20% down to 8%, 6%. Who the hell knows? So you will find a log that's like you, Joe or Jane, like you, gay, straight, or otherwise, married, with kids, without kids, working like an absolute crazy beast, working in an office. Even someone working in the office the other day, we were talking about in terms of them still doing, I think, 12-hour days, Steve, which is crazy for an office job. So listen, and again, the younger listeners, especially up to the age of 30, you're out there kicking ass, either at school, university, college, or you're trying to make your career happen, or you're literally just trying to think about becoming a father for the first time. We've got logs for people that want to have children. I think we've had logs from people with disabilities, small to large. We've certainly got logs with people recovering from injuries. There is a little bit of something for every single one listening to the show. We got black, white, Chinese, French, Canadian. I've said it, from different countries,
Yeah.
different races,
I
getting into shape.
I guarantee you with Moderbog, for example, is a perfect example. Average Joe
Mm.
starting out without the log, he would not be where he is today after a
No,
few months.
no,
I guarantee
no,
you.
no,
And if you
no.
take a look at his first pictures he posted, and then take a
Yeah,
picture of his recent, he just posted some
yes,
new pictures yesterday, which you guys will
yes, yes.
see.
The ones I looked at, yeah,
He looks even better than he did a month ago.
yeah,
Because, like, you could tell even in just the past few weeks, he's improved and he looks leaner. So, it's amazing the progress you can make when you're logging and you have people supporting you and
yes,
positivity. It makes a big
yes.
difference. It's like waking up every day and, dealing with a nagging wife who's putting you down and saying you suck and saying you're a loser versus a wife who's or a husband who's supporting you and saying, "Great job, honey, you did great at work. Don't worry about it. You had a bad day at work. Don't worry about it. Get in there tomorrow and kick ass." That's the difference, and that's what it's all
Isn't there
about.
an element, Steve, of
Totally.
success begetting success? So the better you get, the better you become, and the more support you get. So the moment you make that declaration, I want to improve, you'll get support. We've got your back. Let's see your log. The moment you start to fucking make progress, oh my God, that's fantastic. Keep going, brother. I want to see where you're going to take your physique to the next level. I want you to get that job. I want you to get that girl. I want you to compete. So that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, Steve, absolutely amazing. Listen, there is a log out there for you, but come onto the forum, check out these logs, give them support, and even start your own log and tell me if you don't get the benefits from it. Let's talk a little bit
Yeah.
now, Steve,
Let me
about Euro
start.
Pharma.
Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
start and I'll let you talk. So, very, very important when you're doing your log, okay, and you start your steroid cycle, it's very important that you use legitimate products. I just got a message this morning from a guy. He was on a compound and he's like, "Steve, I'm not noticing any side effects from this compound. It's really weird." So I'm upping the dose. I'm upping the dose. I'm upping the dose, and I'm still not feeling anything. And it's been like 4 weeks. What is going on here? And I told him, I was like, dude, you know, if you don't trust the gear you're getting, how can you have a successful log when you have doubt in your brain? It's just like being married and your spouse, you don't know if your spouse is cheating on you. So you have to go on their social media and you have to, hack into their phone and check their phone and check text messages because you worry that they're cheating on you with someone else. You can't go through life like that. So going and doing a cycle, there's no reason why today you should go through the trouble of getting a cycle together, getting your log together, and not being sure if what you're taking is legit. So all these guys who we talked about today on their logs, they're using legitimate gear and they're getting great results. They're getting great progress in a matter of months. So the number one thing you need to concern yourself with is, am I using legitimate gear? So this is why Euro Pharma is a brand that we've talked about on this podcast. And this is why Euro Pharma is one of the top 3, top 5 brands in the world for getting not just anabolic steroids, but everything else you could need, the ancillaries, the PCT products, whatever else, dick drugs, anything else, the fat loss drugs, peptides, all kinds of stuff that they have. They are fantastic with all these products. And when you're taking Europharma that you're taking what you should take. So if you're going to have a consistent experience with a log and you're planning on doing a log for 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, you have to compare and contrast. And by using legitimate products that you know is dosed correctly and you know what you're taking, that's going to give you that idea of, hey, this compound works for me, this compound doesn't work for me, I should switch to this, I should up my dose, I should lower my dose, etc. Otherwise, you're going to be lost and you're going to be wasting your time. Can you imagine going and doing a log for 4 months and all the time you're using fake products? That would be a disaster. So make sure you come on the forum, you find out where to get Euro Pharma. They're a great brand, and
Yes,
they will make sure you're taken care of with fast shipping. The prices are outstanding. They have great promotions. They have
yes.
great staff, and everything will be taken care of. And they're a one-stop shop. So that's going to be the smart thing to do. Mobster, go ahead.
That regularly listen to this show know that your pharmacist's product is 95, 99% of my stash sheet. They're doing, I think there's a clearance on their blister products. Steve mentioned promos. They got multiple promos right now, and to save you hassle, one of their resellers has a sales tab. You just go straight to the sales tab and see what's being pushed and promoted. I'm thinking of a few products right now. One of that particular reseller is doing arguably, Steve, some of the best domestic US market prices I have ever fucking seen, and international is absolutely crazy right now. They've been around long enough to establish a great reputation. One of their reps via the reseller is arguably the rep for me in terms of how people should rep for a company in the industry. He's fucking shit hot. Lots of love for that particular person. Yes, guys. Steve says top five. For me, they're my personal number one. But that we talk about other companies, we will say why they're good. I love, like Steve said, whether you're Australian, whether you're American, doesn't matter where you are in the world, there's a source, either international big name companies, including Euro Pharma, that will send product around the world to your country. So that's not an issue. Or there's a local source. And like Steve said, you aren't wasting your money. You aren't wasting your time. You're not putting a shitload of effort in the gym and a shitload of effort prepping food and then getting bunk products. The products are on point. And again, absolutely my favorite source, Steve. My favorite products. I've got a stash of Euro Pharma products here right now for my personal use over the next month or so, 2 years, 3 years even, and highly recommended, highly rated. Come onto the forums and check out, search for Euro Pharma, see what comes up with the promotions and the great prices that I've mentioned. Look for the logs that have run Euro Pharmacy's products. It's not just me and Steve talking about how great they are on the show. You can come on, and we've talked about logs, and you can see people that have run their products and the results those people have got, not just from training, not just from the diet, but from the PEDs that they chose to use. And using an approved proof source like Euro Pharmacies has led to great results like we just talked about. Yeah, I think that's it, Steve. So listen, guys, come onto the forums, check out these logs, start a log. One or two of the moderators will paste into your thread how to run a log and the kind of information we want to see. The more information you put down, the more we can help you. And be inspired. Even if you don't do that, be inspired. Come to the forum and check out logs just to see people like yourself on the same journey as you, trying to get great results and seeing the results they got and making that inspire you to go to the gym and train hard like they did, eat cleanly like they did, use an approved source product from it like they did, and look at the results they get and get those results for yourself. Please note, we are not doctors and the opinions are ours. It's our view based on our experience and views on the topic. A podcast for informational purposes and entertainment only. The freedom of speech and the First Amendment applies.